This video is just about finishing up and bottling that Concord wine that I started last fall. Here it is. It's been sitting for over 6 months now, so it's ready to go into bottles and got everything out and everything's all it's sanitized and cleaned and washed, and I'm just getting all ready to go here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to give the bottles another sanitizing just to be safe. So put some of that solution in that little bottle sanitizer and pump it a couple times, and it actually gets coats the inside of them real good, and it's a pretty simple job. And I just do this one more time just to be safe that there's no contamination in the bottles. So it doesn't take too long, and I always start this before starting anything else, just so I can let the bottle sit in that rack and let everything drip out of them so that they're pretty much cleaned out by the time I go to put the wine in them. Sorry I sound a little hoarse and froggy, but I got this nasty spring cold that I don't know where I got it from, but I'm just waiting for that to clear up. So here it is. Got the bottles all ready to go, and I put them in a rack, and then I usually go back and I turn them a couple of times just because the sanitizer and stuff drips to the bottom, and that way everything seems to drip out of them. And now it's time to pull the airlock out and just start siphoning off everything that's settled to the bottom of the carboy. So this is just standard procedure. Everything has been sanitized and washed, sanitized and cleaned real good. So I start to siphon and then just hold it up off the bottom of the carboy. And at this point in time, everything smells really great in my shop now, and there's a bottling wand in place ready to start the bottling. But yeah, you get the aroma of that wine in the shop, and it smells really good. And there you can see I got about 5.5 gallons out of it. It's a 6-gallon carboy, so, and there's the dregs that are left in the bottom of it that you don't want to suck out of there. So I dropped the hygrometer in, and it's back to 0 as you see, and I started out with a 25 brick, so this should be right around the 15% alcohol content wine, which was what I was shooting for. So now it's just a matter of starting to put in the bottles, and that little wand that goes on the bottling bucket makes it real easy. It's just a piece of plastic with a valve at the bottom, and when you push the bottle up, it starts a flow of wine, and then when you drop it down, it cuts off the flow. So it's just that's about how fast it goes too. So it's a real slow, boring process, and you just have to remember to stop it just before it gets to the top of the bottle. And then once you pull that wand out, it's just at the proper location for a full bottle. So this part is pretty simple, takes some time. This batch of wine, it really seems to have cleared up really good. It's got really great color, and it's really crystal clear, so I think it might be a good one. So there it is, got all the all the bottles filled up. Now it's time to put the corks in. Now this is a corker that I built. I did a video about this a while back, and it's a simple job. It's just put a bottle in, put a cork in, and then pull the handles down, and they slip right in. Biggest problem is I'm using all different batches of bottle or containers for the wine, and all the bottles are they're within about a 1/2 inch of length, but they're all a little bit different. So just take some time to screw that that little bottom up and down just to make sure the bottle's in the proper position for corking. And a corker is one thing that you're really going to need for bottling wine, and that was pretty simple. I just used a piece of stainless steel shaft, and then machined out a brass guide there, and then a Delrin actually tapered guide to squeeze the cork down so it goes in the bottle easily. And it's one of those things that you're really going to need if you're going to do any wine bottling. And there you can see that screws up and down to accommodate different bottle lengths, because I find that most of the 750 milliliter bottles that I use are up to a 1/2 inch difference in the overall length of the bottle. So this is really, another one of those easy parts of the job once you get set up and get going. It a little bit time consuming, but it's not too bad. And I like to, I usually just dip my corks in sanitizer before I put them in too, just to be safe. I don't know if you have to or not, because I think they're sterilized when you buy them in a bag, but I just like to, just throw a little sanitizer on them just to be safe, and it actually helps them to slip in real easy. So a couple minutes later, there they are. Everything's all corked up. Then I did have some extra. I, had to put in a jar, and there's, there's what it looks like. And get to take my first sip here. And one thing that I will warn you is never take a sip of wine after finishing a menthol cough drop, because the two flavors just do not go together. It's kind of scary, actually. So after a while, I tried another sip, and actually it was pretty good. It's not great yet. It's going to need a little bit of aging, but I think it's passable, and it does have a very high alcohol content for a Concord wine, so it should have some additional purpose to it. So here, next thing I'm doing is putting these shrink caps on. I don't know why I put them on. They just seem to dress everything up a little bit, and they're pretty cheap, and they don't take long to put on. You just need a heat gun, and just drop them on, and work your way around the bottle, and I just keep going back and forth until the wrinkles are out. I think there are machines available for shrinking these, and I think some people even dip them in boiling water upside down to shrink them, but I'm not sure about that process. But I know the heat gun works pretty good for me. It just can take some time to get all the wrinkles out. You have to just keep going around, and they keep shrinking down every time you go around until they're finally pretty smooth on the bottle. It does help dress the bottles up a little bit, and it really keeps the corks nice and clean also. So this is the next job, and in the meantime, I had gotten some of the printable label paper from my home brew supply place, and it's got a self-adhesive that you have to activate with moisture. So in the meantime, I made up some labels to put on these bottles, and there's pretty much a label that I came up with for this batch. You just print them out on your printer, and then you take the sheets and spray some clear polyurethane on them to make them waterproof, and then let that dry, cut them out, and I use a sponge just to wet the back of them, and so that they'll stick to the bottle. And then you do have to play with them a little while. The bigger labels seem to try to unroll off the bottle, so I put them on, and then I just try to dry them a little bit. And you find that the corners still do roll up for a little while, so what you have to do is go back about 10 minutes or so when they start to dry out a little bit, and push all the edges down again, so that they fit on nice and tightly, and there's no edges that are flapping up in the breeze. So this is another one of those little time-consuming jobs, but it's worth it, so that at least you know what's in the bottles when you get done. And there they are, all labeled up. And if you notice, you'll see that I have 50 different shades of red on those bottle labels. Turns out I ran out of red in my HP printer cartridges, and I decided to try some of those cheap aftermarket ones from Amazon. And I tell you what, every one of the reds, you can see some printed out brown, some came out pink. Every one of the reds printed out in a different shade, so I wouldn't recommend those cartridges. But here's the video. This was just about my recent bottling experience, and I thought I'd share it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.